All right, Shalom, Kohalayim, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone who rule well over the flock. Shalom and salutations to you, Akim, out here that's pushing the truth in sincerity. Shalom to all the elect, Akim, Aqua, scattered Israelites, Israelite foreigners. Shalom. I brought this out this video will be edifying. Today's subject is one of the most beautiful things about planting is seeing the harvest grow. It's watching the harvest grow. One of the beautiful things about planting. And I'm using this example as husbandry, which is the Lord's work, as a figurative of watching, brothers come into this fold, being planted in the word, the seed begin to take root and they begin to bud and show forth flowers, ultimately them themselves being able to plant and bring other fruit and seeds into this truth. So the ministering of the truth, or the ministry of this truth, is like sowing seeds of righteousness and watching them bud, and it's a beautiful thing. And so just going to touch on that a little bit. Everybody, brother in this truth, has their moment when they begin to bud. That word that moved in you, hopefully it took root and it wasn't choked out by the cares of this life or fell by the wayside, and it actually took root, and then you get some type of foundation in this truth. You get some type of your spirit kind of just opens up and livens up, and you begin to be better. So I'm just gonna go through that because that's a beautiful thing to be able to watch. Amidst us dealing with the daily hell, amidst us going through our own afflictions and perils and trials, it's a beautiful thing to be able to see Akim, grow in this light that's being presented. So this is Job 26:1. It says, "But Job answered and said, How hast thou helped him that is without power? How savest thou the arm that hath no strength?" And he's speaking about brotherhood, right? Because all throughout the book of Job is getting rebuked. Job gets rebuked. Job rebukes back. As you can see, the title, Job rebukes Bildad. They was kind of going hard at Job. A lot of things they were saying were meaningful and true, but sometimes it felt for Job like he was getting kicked while he was down, And so he was rebuking his friends, quote unquote, his friends back, because Job was under serious ailments and, curses sent by Yahweh the Father to test him. Amongst other things, losing his family, losing his livestock. It says, "How hast thou helped him that is without power? How savest thou the arm that hath no strength?" Those new brothers that come in are like men without power, are like men without strength, who need saving, who needs to be helped. The scriptures that help make strong the feeble knees. So in this truth, we're giving brothers, and this isn't for everybody who passes by. Again, to use the phrase popularly phrased by the Elder Rum, this ain't for your typical everyday Israelite, or this ain't for outsiders. All right, this is for those that showing and proving themselves. We're making them strong. We're putting our strength into them to make them stronger, right? To help them who are powerless, those that turn back to the Lord steadfastly. It says, "How hast thou counseled him that hath no wisdom?" All right, so here it is. When you first come into this truth, you don't have the wisdom. You have worldly, but you don't have spiritual wisdom leading to salvation. It says, "And how hast thou plentifully declared the thing as it is? To whom hast thou uttered words? And whose spirit came from thee?" So that's the perfect understanding. If when you are diligently or correctly doing this job, you're making strong those that are weak. All right, you're giving wisdom to those that are foolish, to those that are simple. All right, this is Matthew 5:19. "Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so." And so you have examples today of Israelites with garments of border of blue and fringes, who will tell you to go ahead and specifically tell you to go and eat pork, specifically to tell you to go and continue to do wickedness and teach you wickedness. Well, it says he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. So his rank drops all the way to the bottom. It says, but whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. So you doing something on your own is one thing. You teaching men to do evil and wickedness automatically drops you to the bottom of the pot, because you're no better than the wicked Pharisees and Sadducees, who the Lord said to be better than scribes and Pharisees. So we have to, as teachers, remember that we have to lead by example. Not only that, but we also have to teach exactly what it is that the Lord wants us to teach, right? 1 Corinthians 9:19 says, for though I be free from all men, yet I have made myself servant unto all. So we free, right? Because we're not confined to man's ways of life. We're not confined to what makes somebody cool. We're not confined to what makes somebody wealthy to this world standards. We're not confined to the world. So we're free from that. But he said, I made myself a servant unto all. So our job is still in the service of men. And the men who we serving are men that have turned back to the Lord, men that have committed their works to the Lord, men that have began to do this work, all right, to begin to lay down, right, to begin to be a part of that building block and that structure that is a foundation, all right, that is laid upon the foundation of Yahushua, that temple that the Lord's raising back up in his men, in his church, all right, to begin to enrich us with this wisdom so that we can be delivered. This is all the service that Paul said here in Corinthians, I made myself servant unto all. So at the end of the day, we are servants. And one of the greatest things you can see as a teacher is that individual that you've been putting instruction into, correction into, rebuke into, to see that person begin to blossom, begin to grow even more branches, begin to grow, drop even more seeds, begin to bud even more flowers, right? And it turns from this bud into this brilliant flower. So everybody who comes into this truth has those moments. You come in simple, you get planted. It takes a certain amount of time. Then the seeds, and then the branch, or the sprout starts to sprout out. And then from there, after a period of time, you start to see a bud. That means the plant is going to grow from that. But even after that bud comes, you have to wait more time before that flower actually shows up. When that flower is in full bloom, it's called bloom, right? And then from there, seeds begin to be dropped and so forth and so on. That's the situation that happens in this truth. From a man that comes in simple until he actually, in the time between, he actually starts to blossom. And it's a beautiful thing that for those teachers that had a role in that. It said that I might gain more. So we're servants unto all of you, Akim. I myself, all the elders, all the from the apostles on down, we're servants unto the brethren who believe, unto the sheep and the fold who believe, unto the elect who will be delivered. With servants unto them, so that we might gain the more. Right? He says, and unto the Jews I became as a Jew, that I might gain the Jews, and under them that are under the law, as under the law, that I might gain that are under the law. And he goes on to, verse 22, to the weak, I became as weak, that I might gain the weak. I am made all things to all men, that I might by all means save some. All right. And this I do for the gospel's sake, that I might be partaker therefore with you. So constant rebuke and correction for somebody who doesn't learn is necessary, right? You might feel like you were getting rebuked all the time. You young, you came into this thing and you look to your left and your right. Those brothers don't get rebuked as you do. Well, there's a saying out there, a man that doesn't learn has to have many lashes, or, soft as the ass, right? How's it say? Soft as the ass, of a man that doesn't learn, a hard head makes a soft ass, they say, So the issue really is that you don't reflect, or you're not learning from that correction, right? You're not learning. What's more important than the correction? What's the lesson to be learned from it? All right. So remember, we made all things because a teacher is versatile in that way, right? You be able to come to, see what exactly a man needs, just as you can see that this man might need some more instruction. Obviously he's looking as if he don't know his place yet. Let's instruct him more. This man might need more rebuke. So each and every teacher has that type of discernment, especially amongst Great Millstone, where we look at you, Akim, in the eyes, and we could see what it is that you learn, because this comes from being learned. This comes from being seasoned. This comes from going over things, right? And no man is above correction. No man is above rebuke. No man is above all of these things. So we all deal with them accordingly and go through certain situations in which you become better. If you take heed, of course, if you learn from that lesson, you won't have to repeat it. But the lesson will become every time. It'll come over and over until you understand it. So don't let that get to you. All right. Because the Lord requires us to be closer and more like him. Humble, right? More like him, a servant, a faithful witness, right? A servant, a good son. Okay. This is Psalms 141 verse 5. It says, let the righteous smite me. And that's the idea here. The righteous can smite you. Of all the people who is their job to smite you, let the righteous do it. Now, some people smite you and they're not righteous and they're wicked and they try to, corruptly correct you or check you for the street codes and laws. You don't need to be around that type of individual. You're not trying to sit here, learn the street codes so you could be the biggest gang member in the world. We're in a position to be saved, to be delivered. So if the righteous, which a righteous man, his end is salvation, I'm going to allow that man to correct me. I'm going to allow that man whose end is going to be upright. His end is going to be to be saved. I'm going to give allowance. All right. Give room, give the space, give the freedom for that man to correct me, smite me. All right. It says it shall be a kindness, and that's kind. Right. That's a kind thing for a righteous man to smite you. Why? Because I'm going to jump into this scripture. Proverbs 27:5. Open rebuke is better than secret love. So the rebuke of the wise is perfect, is uprightness, is correction, is good. And if you're any good in yourself, you're going to appreciate and value that correction. Understanding that you have simple ways, you have things in which you never learned from. You have made mistakes in your past. Maybe nobody's ever corrected you for it because maybe they just had this secret love. They just didn't want to hurt your feelings. They appreciate you so much that they don't want to correct you. Well, on the contrary, it's better to be corrected. All right. It's better to be rebuked. It says, faithful are the wounds of a friend. Think about it. You don't consider that your friend should be the one giving you those wounds. He's the closest to you. He's the one that should want to see you get better. All right. And this journey that we're on is about getting better. It's about increasing daily. It's about staying motivated and staying having priorities. Sometimes when you're walking in this world, that old man shouts out to you, come back, come back. And you might turn and start to reflect back and have nostalgia periods where you missing the good old days when mama and this, that, and the third. And next thing you know, you entangled again. You ensnared back into the world. So it's a brother, on the contrary, that's going to be like, yo, man, you got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I think it's time to put both feet in and learn how to manage. Okay, learn how to manage your family. Learn how to manage your job. Learn how to manage from being from a position of being completely dedicated to the truth. Learn how to manage. Learn how to lose people who aren't there, who are just there for a season. Learn how to use the world, not abusing it. Learn how to walk in wisdom towards them or without. Learn how to do that, but don't let this truth get such a back seat that you damn near start walking away from it. All right. So it says, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. So there it is, man. We need that. We need correction. We need rebuke. These are things that have us grow, man. And guess what? Again, to emphasize, when you learn from your rebuke and when you learn from your correction, you blossom. That's that blossoming that never got a chance to, man. Some of these issues that we facing and we dealing with, Akim, this has been issues we've been dealing with since 5, 6, 7 years old, man. These been issues that we ain't never conquered since 8, 9, 10. These been coming around since we was teenagers. Since we was in our early 20s, we've been fighting these same battles and losing them. Now it's time for that correction again, and it's from a brother, it's from an elder, it's from a man of the flock, it's from a righteous brother. You're going to take heed to it, man. It says, it shall be, and let him reprove me. It shall be an excellent oil, which shall not break my head, for yet my prayer also shall be in their calamities. Let's get that real quick in the NLT. All right. Let's get that real quick in the NLT, man. Yeah, the making of a man from taking them from simple to wise is a beautiful thing to see. It says, let the godly strike me. It will be a kindness. If they correct me, it is a soothing medicine. Don't let me refuse it, but I pray constantly against the wicked in their deeds. Khan, man. Khan. That's beautiful. Beautiful how that was written. This is 1 Timothy 5:1. Rebuke not an elder, but entreat him as a father, and the younger men as brethren. So there's a way in which, if somebody even older than you, man, you don't get the screaming and get the going crazy at them, because as a young man, you got a lot of adrenaline, you got a lot of energy. You coming straight out the world. You might come try to come rough every single time. You might think that's the answer every time. Harsh love, strike the hell out of him, beat him down, like break him down. Nah, he need that. Well, check it out. Rebuke not an elder, but entreat him as a father. Even if an older man than you, right? He might have came in young after you, but he's an older man than you. Even him, you deal with, because one of the worst things you could see out here in this world is see a young man trying to get busy on an older man. That's what happened with Elijah, when he called them she bears on them young children. They just, young people just getting unruly. Young people just trying to boss up against the older man. Beating on older people, man. That's one of the customs that used to exist amongst our people that exist now that never existed, man. Young people taking full advantage of old people, man. It's a cold world out there, and it's a dirty game, but you don't bring those characteristics into the truth. Instead, rebuke not the elder, but entreat him as a father, man. You look to that man as if you look to your own father. And if you hate your own father, now that's the perfect person to be able to learn how to, practice on shit. Start conversations with your father. Do things that will increase your learning, increase your mood. So stop you from having mood swings, stop you from being unruly. Stop you from being unprincipled and undisciplined. Increase your own, personal attributes, so to speak. Get your characters together. It says, but entreat him as a father and the younger men as brethren. And it works vice versa. You older than the brother, and then you come down upon him. He's need for correction. And guess what, man? There is time for harsh rebuke. I repeat, there is time for harsh rebuke. Don't just think because you speak low and speak kind words all the time, and then somebody come down on you. It's a learning process, man. Some of us, for real, raised by moms, whatever the situation is, never got in fights, whatever the situation is, before the truth, effeminate in nature, all soft and kind, might have been sheltered, so forth and so on. You ain't used to a man, might have had no dad around. You ain't used to men at all being able to tell you what to do, and that's really your biggest problem. You'll run all around the world just to skip the main problem of you don't like what a man tell you what to do, because it's not in the tone of soft spoken like your mama told you how to do it. And that really is a situation that continues to reflect, but you're going to go through that until you fix that. You're going to go through it constantly until you fix that. You got to work on your attitude in this truth. Because you get rebuked, you got to work on you got to have attitude adjustments. You got to have reflections. You got to think twice, right? You got to really set your standards, as unify your standards to where the brotherhood is at, not just the way you trying to be at, not the way you at, but you have to come up to where brothers is at, and meet the standards of the camp. The camp has standards. The camp has certain ways in which they deal, and so you have to always meet those. All right. So the younger men as brethren. So you looking at the older men as like unto fathers, man. That's how you speak to an older man, like you speak to your father. In this truth, of course. Remember, we're talking about a body here. Anything outside the body, it doesn't pertain to the body, So, but the scriptures do say, if possible, be at peace with all men. So you really shouldn't be talking crazy to nobody in this world. You should, if somebody got a problem with you and skip, you know what to do. You shoot a text to the brotherhood, and as far as sending up curses on that man, and that's it. You let that go, man. That's water under the bridge. When the Lord, the Lord gonna deal with him justly. But you don't get out here getting into, you out here fighting with people. You out here, you know, you screaming at the top of your lungs, road raging and shit. Man, that's over and done with, man. That's the old man. All right, but even amongst the body, especially, man, you're dealing with somebody older than you. You deal with them respectfully. You have respect. All right, you dealing with somebody younger than you. You deal with them as a brother. And a brother a brother is a brother, man. Brother is a second you. Okay, a second you. That's a term I used to use back in the day. If you feeling like you got a certain situation and whatever with a brother, remember that's a second you. Imagine that it was your face on that brother. How would you talk then? How would you deal with that brother then? All right. Scripture telling you about that. Do unto others as you want them to do unto you. This is Psalms 106:3. It said, "Blessed are they that keep judgment, and he that doeth righteousness at all times." So we love this about the brotherhood, man. These are brothers that are trying, encouraging, uplifting, highly spiritual, dedicated. You meet brothers with super good principles. You meet brothers that's on humility levels that you strive to be at. You're gonna meet brothers that's with charisma, energy, all right, high octane energy, like somebody lit a nuke, and they got the potential kinetic energy of a nuclear missile inside of them, man, because they are always high energy, but it's always about this truth, and it's always in love. And guess what? We learn how to deal with different mannerisms, different customs, different brotherhood. The body is universe. The body is like a whole universe in itself, man. That unity meaning one. But that's the beauty of it, man. The Lord blessed us for keeping these things. The house of the righteous is going to be blessed forevermore. So that's a beautiful thing. So we have to remember that about each other. We all coming back to the same fold as brothers. It says, Luke 6:40, last scripture, the disciple is not above his master, but everyone that is perfect shall be as his master. Okay, so you come into this truth simple. You come into this truth unwise. You come into this truth weak. It's different weak elements. You might not be physically weak, but you might be weak when it comes to rebuke. You might be weak when it comes to correction. You might be weak when it comes to instruction. You might be weak in these fields. In personal development, you might be weak. You might be unlearned, unwise but this truth is here to guide you, and brothers are here ministering as servants of the Lord to do his will, which is to make you more perfect, closer to the image of his liking, right? Remember, everything is about to be, you have to be worthy, all right? Walk worthy of your calling, all right? This is a calling, meaning this is not just a reflection of who you are and what you want to be. This is a calling, meaning you're coming to work now, and the elements of work is that there's already requirements and recommendations for how every work is supposed to be. All right. You should be asking what you can do, all right, to be a good worker, not what the brothers could do to you, for you, and this, that, and the third. What can you do to help the flock? What can you do? It's a service-based mentality that we instill in the brothers. So that takes correction, that takes instructions, that takes really focusing and honing in on all the things that brothers need, all right, to grow thereby. And that don't always mean holding your hand and baby. That don't always mean nurturing. Sometimes you need to be effing ignored, man. Sometimes you need to be smitten, Sometimes you need to be rebuked. And this thing about, again, rebuke comes in many different forms. Just because one brother is gentle and one brother is forward. All right, and you might need both. You might be that super individual. You might have super demons on you. You might be super emotional, man. And then now you need a severe case of licks, man. So understand, man. We this thing is about being made like your as it says here, master, right? And let me get this in the blue letter because people get all confused. Well, I don't like that word master. Well, you ain't on no level, man. Here it is. You've been in this truth long enough. You should understand the dynamics of teachers, students, and masters and disciples. Disciples are somebody learning under the master. Let's get that. Students, NLT students, are not greater than their teacher. So right off the jump, you're not coming into this word and being greater than nobody. You're not coming into this truth and thinking that you know, I'm a top dog in this. No, it don't work like that. You're a student and you're a disciple. You're supposed to learn under somebody and under the tutelage. Just like when you see Mr. Miyagi. Go back and watch the movie, I forget the Kung Fu Kid or whatever that movie is about. You'll understand. You know, you're not going to be better. You have to learn. And some things you learn, you think you already know. And so you got to learn them again. And so it takes a lot of discipline in order to be disciplined, right? It says, but the student who is fully trained will become like his teacher. So that's the objective here. All right, you got teachers, you got brothers who have set over you, and you will become more like them if you continue to learn and be humble and take your smites, take your correction, take your rebuke. Continue, man. You need to blossom, man. You are just a bud at this point in time. You're just a seedling, man. You're just starting to sprout. Give yourself more dedication. Give yourself more time in that correction. Give yourself more time to be mended, for your old ways to be put off. Give yourself time. But also understand that your objective here will be to be fully trained as to become like your master. Lord willing, this video is edifying. Until next time, shalom.